it was 60 minutes of wasted time for the Bengals last night, 32-13. And it was dominance. I thought it was going to be a shutout. I really did. Once the Bengals scored, it didn't matter at that point. There wasn't enough time for them to get back into it. There just wasn't. And then the Browns answer with a touchdown, and then it's really over. But it was 25-0 going into the fourth quarter, I think. Trying to shut as much of that experience out of my brain as possible.
Yeah, there was some time. Yeah, it was 25-0. You're right. They scored right at the start of the fourth quarter to make it 25-6.
Unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
What the Browns did to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Big picture, what do you think happened last night?
Well, big picture last night. First off, Cleveland is better than a 3-5 football team, as we've discussed, right? They got nobody to blame. I think if they did things the right way and situational football and not go out of bounds against the Jets and, a few other situations where you go, they could very easily be the opposite of this, 5-3, 6-2. So I think they're better than their record. Then I think with the Cincinnati, I think we're seeing throughout the league lack of good teams around the league. There's lack of good teams. It's a weird year. We have a very short list of real good teams, and then we have a bunch of other teams that are okay, solid and good, in a certain week, but like not real good, maybe some potential to be real good. And then I think the Bengals, too, we see a matchup issue here, one where the offensive line is still a real issue. That's the place I misevaluated the game last night. I thought, Cincinnati, the way the Browns have been playing against the run, the Bengals would be able to run just enough to slow the pass rush down, open up some play-action passes. But this was the theme of the night. They still can't protect Joe Burrow at all. The speed of the Browns front was everywhere. And then you see, too, how reliant they are on Jamar Chase because, Mike, again, as we watch, and I wanted to text you during the game last night, look at these plays right here. No shifts, no motions, very basic concepts. So plays right into the hands of that. And what we're seeing, too, with Cincinnati, unlike weeks before where it's the Saints and other Saints and who was the team they beat before this? Atlanta. If you don't give them chances to go deep one-on-one, throw a slant, back shoulder, oh, wait, it's a blitz and it's one-on-one with Jamar Chase down the field, they're not really capable of, moving the ball that way. That's what they are. So they're a struggling 4-4 football team with some issues in some areas that I don't know can get them to where they want to go this year, Mike.
And this is a low-key similar situation as to what Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay have going on, where there's domination by one side. Kevin Stefanski, 5-0 now against Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals just can't find a win, and I don't know how I would have felt about last night's game if we were picking on Thursday and if we knew that Jamar Chase wasn't going to play. And
it would have changed everything. I mean, yes.
Well, I still probably would have picked the Bengals to win.
I don't disagree with that
I don't
either.
know that it would have been one of our best bets.
No.
We would have gone in a different direction because we each had the Bengals given 3.5 points or something like that.
Either way, we might have been wrong, but it changes the game totally. Right.
When you take away a guy who can take it to the end zone from anywhere on the field, you can throw it short, you can throw it long, you have to devote extra resources to him. That changes everything because then you still have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd in addition to the guy that is clearly the key to the passing attack. And just to see Burrow getting swallowed up routinely on nights like the one we saw last night.
Yeah.
I start to wonder if he's ever going to sign a second contract with the Bengals.
I
don't want to trigger Bengals fans on a morning when they're already feeling salty about what happened to their team. But I know that he's paying very careful attention to the moves they make to become a legitimate high-end contender. It can't just be Burrow and Chase.
Right.
And look at what happens when you take Chase out of the mix. They have to have more. The offensive line. And the offensive line hadn't been horrible of late, but it was horrible last night. And Burrow was getting swallowed up. And, it's amazing that he just finds a way to keep going.
It is.
The way he gets hit, the way he gets twisted around. I mean, we saw it 2 years ago. This month, he tore the ACL. But they have to find a way to protect him better. And he will, I think, at least ponder the possibility. You have to have some degree of strategic thinking when it comes to your own career in the NFL.
Right.
I just, nights like last night, games like that, when I see that, and it's one of the, unusual occasions that we can focus on one team. When I look at what I saw last night from the Bengals, I say, man, Joe Burrow may not want to be around that. They better fix that. And I don't know whether it's coaching, personnel, a combination.
Yeah.
I don't want to put Zach Taylor on the hot seat. The guy just went to the Super Bowl last year. But, but these are all factors Joe Burrow's got to look at when he's making the long-term decision about where he's going to let the balance of his NFL career unfold. I'm not saying what decisions he's going to make or what he should make. All I'm saying is, during last night's game, if you're a Bengals fan deep down, see, this is what pisses people off. We say the things out loud that you're afraid of, that you don't want to think about. If you're a Bengals fan, deep down, part of you is thinking and trying to push down and ignore the possibility that Joe Burrow is going to say at some point, thanks, guys, but it's time for me to move on.
Yeah, well, I hope not. But I hear you. I mean, I understand what you're trying to say here. With the amount he's been hit, got hurt already once. Yeah, got to the Super Bowl. That was great. But, behind one of the poorer Super Bowl offensive lines we've ever seen in the history of football. So, yeah. And then, I think that's the disappointing thing about the Bengals here, as even compared to last year. Their offensive line, the adjustments they made, they're not as good on the offensive line as they were last year. I mean, it's actually not even close. The offensive line last year was significantly better than what it is. So that's where it's got to stink for Joe Burrow and the Bengals in general. Now, last year Joe Mixon was what, top 5 in football rushing? He might have been 3 if I can remember off the top of my head. That's not even going to happen and get close this year. I mean, if he gets 1,000 yards, it'll be a miracle. So they don't have that aspect of the game. And then, so there's that. But then also to what you said too, they got to help. They got to do more on offense. I've continued to say this. I said this before the last 2 games they won, and really was shocked in a lot of ways that, like I was saying before, that New Orleans and Atlanta just gave these opportunities of like, we're going to blitz and play man-to-man. And, wait, that's the only way they beat people. So they don't help them out with that stuff at times. And last night, there wasn't much done to slow down the pass rush, formations, keep an extra guy in. There wasn't a ton of that. That's their issue. They're a little bland. They're a little too reliant on the stars. But to rebuttal you just a little, they are all in on Joe Burrow. And then what, and again, I know they may be.
I know they are.
Yeah.
I know they are.
And they're going to continue to be.
Is he?
I know.
I know.
Yeah.
They sold the naming rights to the stadium. They know they got to shake every quarter they can out of the couch cushions to have enough money available for him. But it can't just be him.
I know.
Let me give you the example. Right. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on this, but the offensive line, they went out and consciously tried to make it better.
Right.
And it's not. Well, one of the peel back the curtain, peel down the onion reasons why they don't have better talent on the offensive line is because they don't guarantee any money beyond the first year of the contract for veterans other than quarterback.
Yeah, I hear
you. They and the Packers are the only 2 teams in the league that do that. So, maybe they could have gotten Ryan Jensen from the Buccaneers. And I know he's injured now, but that doesn't mean he was going to be injured with the Bengals. He got injured in practice with the Buccaneers. So you could have gotten a Ryan Jensen if you're willing to guarantee money beyond the first year of the contract. And what a difference that could have made, assuming he doesn't get injured there and he becomes the centerpiece of your offensive line and transforms the way the rest of the guys thinks. And there's no alternate reality to compare that to. But that's what happens when you are in that outdated mindset of we're not going to guarantee money beyond the first year. So they've got to change the way they think about everything. It can't just be, we got a great quarterback and a great receiver. We got to find a way to keep the 2 of them, and everything else stays the same.
I hear you there.
You got to upgrade everything if you're going to make Joe Burrow happy and want to be there. That's my point.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you
and
there.
Bengals fans should want that.
Right.
They should want that.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You got a chance right now to, like you said, break the mold, whatever, however you want to say it, go all in, because you got a quarterback that is special and that can take you to the Super Bowl, as we've seen. So, one thing I could say is being there into the summer a little bit, They're obsessed with him. It's his organization. He is the man there. And you can tell everybody thinks that. He knows that. But you're right. They got to take the proper actions and do the right things here to support him, to make him feel comfortable. But I would, again, be an Ohio kid. I think he's a kid that loves the challenge, wants to make the no-name Bengals cool, like has that, type of confidence and cockiness to go, wait, so what, the Bengals aren't that great? I'm going to make them great. And I think, again, you don't throw that out the window for anything. That's all I'm saying. But you're right. You make the right points, and they gotta break the mold of kind of how they've done business there, through their history.
What saved them in April of 2020 was that Joe Burrow was from Ohio. If he wasn't from Ohio, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Bengals fans, but
you're killing them today. Happy November 1st.
If he wasn't from Ohio, he would have refused to play for the Bengals. A quote from Playmakers, which, by the way, you can buy today, one day only.
Holy shit. 21 year. We got to hear this shit
let me tell you,
too now.
No, let me give you this spiel. Because it's the 21st anniversary promotion. If you buy it today and you follow the instructions at PFT, you get a free personalized signed book plate, which is a fancy word for sticker, up to 10-word personalization. We do have editorial control over what I will and won't write in that 10 words before I sign my name. But if you because people, hey, will you sign the book? Will you sign the book? Can I send it to you? Well, here's today's the day. Buy it today, and you get that. But in that book, one of the lines, which I didn't pull out of thin air, which I got from somebody I trust, who is familiar with Joe Burrow's thinking, if he was from Athens, Georgia, and not Athens, Ohio, he would have refused to play for the Bengals. So be advised, Bengals organization, it's not enough to just kiss this guy's ass. You got to come up with a way to convince him that you are going to be truly competitive over the long haul. And the only reason I'm talking about this, any Bengals fan with any amount of objectivity watching last night's game has to ask, are we truly on track to becoming the team we thought we were on our way to becoming last year when we made it to the Super Bowl? The answer right now is no.
No, definitely not. I'm with you. Last year, I know their record wasn't great last year around this point. They might have been 4-4. And let me just double check that while I'm sitting here just to make sure. It was around that, but we didn't see, again, even with the offensive line issues, we saw the ability to run the ball a little bit. And last year, they were sitting there at 5-2 at one point. All right, and then lost to the Jets and Browns before their bye week. All right, so that made them 5-4 going into the bye week. But we saw, and I know we had moments on Sunday Night Football and everything where I went, man, there's a lot of things to like about the Browns. It might not be perfect, but they can run the ball, they're making big plays, and the defense was getting better. And right now, they can't make big plays unless it's one-on-one with Chase or Higgins. That's a definite theme. They can't run the ball at all. And if you're not one-on-one bump and run to where he can drop back and, throw a back shoulder, or drop back and throw a go route and do that, then they can't protect long enough for them to develop deep down the field aggressive throws, Mike. Ones where, again, it's zone coverage. I drop back and I look at the post on the left and, he's not open. And then let me look at the deep crosser coming across. He's not there. And then there's another crosser following behind him. He never even has the time to do that stuff. And that's where he thrives. He thrives in the pocket, reading coverage, and then being an aggressive decision maker and an awesome thrower off of that. And that's where, it's frustrating. And, last night, he didn't have time to do any of that. He couldn't get one-on-one coverage. They couldn't run the ball to give play-action pass, and they couldn't even come close to protecting him long enough to where he could actually drop back and they can attack down the field.
Most NFL games come down to a handful of moments that if it goes one way, one team is more likely to win. If it goes the other way, it helps the other team. And the Bengals were driving right down the field to start the game.
Right.
This is where it's helpful to have Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett disrupts a play, interception for the Browns, drive ends.
Right.
And, we had a stalemate for a while at 0-0.
Yeah.
But there it is. The interception, there's Garrett. Garrett gets a hand on it. It gets tipped again. And then the pick and kill that drive when it felt like the Bengals were destined to at least get 3, if not 7. And that's just one of those moments when you look back that goes the Browns' way,
Right.
and it helps contribute to keeping it at nothing long enough for the Browns offense to get going.
Well, yeah, keep it at a point where, right, the Browns offense goes, well, we can keep running. We don't have to, push the issue here. And then what did that do? It made Cincinnati, who knew that, hey, we're playing a really good run team, it made them play run defense, and all of a sudden, hey, he drops back, it's a play action, or he drops back, and because they're playing the run, Amari Cooper or Donovan Peoples-Jones are wide open down the field because they're playing a defense where they're trying to stop the run and, play some little cute zone coverage with a short number of guys because they've broken them down the right way. And they're outnumbered in some of those areas. I mean, that's what Elisa looked like on TV last night with some of the replays. So, yeah, but your point is right, Mike. The Bengals needed to get up 3, 7, 10. So the Browns maybe had to change their style of play a little bit. And then maybe the Browns, our defense, we need to take a chance and make a play. Oh, now it's man-to-man. Oh, T. Higgins, boom. That's what the Bengals wanted to get that game to last night. And they were never even close to they were close to getting to it. But every time it kind of got there, it was the missed field goal. Oh, he got strip sacked, fumble, or the tip pass interception. And slowly but surely that Browns run game, end of the first half, start of the third quarter. I mean, good night. I mean, the third quarter, that was a clinic of offense by the Browns, just marching it down the throat of the Cincinnati Bengals defense.
And for Myles Garrett, it was 5 weeks to the day after that car accident that they showed photos last night. Every time I see photos of that car, first of all, I don't know how he fits in it. Second of all, I don't know how he walked away from that. But he had 1.5 sacks last night, 4 quarterback hits, defended 1 pass with that tip, counts as a pass defensed. And here's Kevin Stefanski, coach of the Browns, after the game, talking about how they got pressure on Burrow and the performance of Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I think a nice game plan by Joe and the staff. I thought some of the things that they did really tested their protections and tested some of their line movement, if you will. And then, again, individual effort. Myles was very good. He does what 95 does. He was playing dominant out there. He's very difficult for people to block one-on-one, so he gets a ton of attention. And when that happens, others are getting one-on-ones.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the key. And you had 5 different players get in the stat column with sacks. And Garrett got 1.5, so somebody got a half, and other guys got but 5 different guys for 5 sacks. That's when you know your defense is working and/or the other team's offensive line isn't. But again, it helps to have Myles Garrett. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.